I think they're responding well. We gave them virtually 3 days off from practicing. We did have one conditioning day where they lifted and did some running with Sonny, but allowed them to really try to re-energize again. And I think that was probably a good decision. They had a good practice yesterday. It's our first practice back. They were in full pads, very intent, working very hard. So I think they're getting some energy back. And you know, the 3 games in 12 days, the 4 games in 19 days, I think had an effect, and I think it probably showed in the second half. We played fairly well in the first half, but just didn't seem to have enough to keep going. And so we're hoping that the rest will do us good, and that we'll have the energy to play 4 quarters. It's going to have to be that way because Kent's a very, very good football team.
Is there any talk about a bowl game at this point? Is that something you guys are trying to track? Have you projected where you may end up going, or is it at this point just win a football game and we'll worry about that later?
That's exactly where I'm sitting. You know, I've not tracked anything in terms of the bowls. Obviously, what we're after is to finish our regular season with a win, and that would, I think, make us feel fairly good about things. Obviously, we went through a stretch where we don't feel good about what got done, but ending it with a win would be big for us. You know, where we sit as far as the Bulls are concerned, I really don't know. We'll let them, you know, figure that out.
You talked about ending with a win, how being big for you. How much would that play a part in regaining confidence for that potential bowl game?
Well, you know, bowl games are something unique. You have time off, you then gather them back up and try to get prepared for the bowl, depending upon when the bowl game is. But generally, there's you know, excitement surrounding going to a bowl, and so you know, I don't see that being something that that is necessary for us to just play a perfect game, to have momentum, to go on and play another game. You know, that's the momentum is always good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, we've always broken it down one game at a time, regardless of what's transpired, and try to figure out ways to win the game at hand, and you know, we'll always continue to do that.
I know you don't like to blame injuries on losses. Don't look at those as excuses, but are they starting to catch up to you a little bit?
Well, I think where it catches up to you in a lot of different ways. You know, if you feel like you've got a team that has depth, when you have some injuries, that depth then kicks in. But when you have an extensive number of injuries and you're requiring a lot of guys to get more than what they would normally get playing time wise, that puts a strain on everybody. And so you know, that's the way it is. Football, you know, injuries can come in streaks, and you know, we certainly have had our fair share this year. You know, we're gaining some experience with young guys that we probably wouldn't have been able to gain as much experience with. You know, you look at us now as to who's starting on the offensive side of it, and you see a lot of guys coming back. You know, and the same is true on the defensive side of it. And so, you know, it's the way it works. If you're able to stay healthy, there's you better be a really good football team to win games, and you better have a little luck along the way. And you know, we were a really good football team that, you know, up to this point haven't had a lot of luck. But you know, we'll finish it off very well. I like the attitude of our team, and you know, they'll be ready to play.
Looking at Kent State, obviously the Archer kid is what stands out. Have you seen that kind of playmaker in conference since you came to the MAC 6, 7, 8 years ago?
No, and we've had some really very good playmakers, but I think he's Archer special. I think you could place him in any conference in the country, and he would be special in that conference in what he's able to get done. He's not big, he's got great speed, and just very fluid in his running style. You know, you can use him a lot of different ways. Kent State does a good job of doing that with him, getting the ball in his hands in different ways.
You talk about the pressure a guy like that puts on the defense, knowing that one missed assignment, one missed tackle could result in a big play the other way.
You know, Bowling Green statistically best team in the conference, and you know, there were some runs there that maybe it wouldn't have mattered who was on the field defensively. You know, if you let him get started, he's got a shot at things, and so you got to control him some. He's going to have some big plays. You just hope that, you know, everybody else that's built around him offensively doesn't also have the big plays. And you know, they got a really good combination in their running back. Durham is you know, very physical, 250-pound running back, and so they really kind of have what they want in terms of being able to have a great ground game. I think they're 11th in the country in terms of rushing yards right now, and when you have that combination of backs, and they had a good number of returning linemen up front, and so, you know, that's a built-in very good rushing football team when you have that combination, and their quarterback doesn't make mistakes. You know, he's a guy that handles the game very, very well. You know, on the defensive side of it, they're a very aggressive unit. They'll put a lot of pressure on you. They're first in the conference in interceptions, and that's because of not only having really good defensive backs, but they are able to put a lot of pressure on you with their up front four people. Those guys are really very quick, very strong, very, very physical. So they get you to do things that are out of the ordinary in terms of batting down balls, forcing you to scramble, doing a lot of things that cause interceptions. And so they're great at interceptions. They're first in the country in turnovers gained. So, you know, not just a great job of the passing game defending it, but they've done a great job of creating turnovers in terms of fumbles. And so that's a huge combination going in the right direction there for them.
Going back to trying to stop their run game, what's the status going in of Carl Jones and Neil Lang?
One of them will be definitely out. The other may have a shot. It'll probably be a game day kind of decision.
Which one is definitely out?
I'll tell you on game day.
Is there any added, do you guys get any kind of lift playing a top 25 team even though it's in conference? Is that a little extra care to maybe motivate?
Well, it just dictates to you the challenge that's ahead, and obviously those are all things that are there, that are in front of you, and you know, a win in that fashion just dictates the kind of game, if you do win it, the kind of game you had to play to win it, and so you know, if you get the win, it's a very satisfying win for a lot of reasons. You know, we always feel good about MAC schools breaking into the top 25. You know, I think that's just great for the conference. And this year there was four now, four that have been able to break in the top 25. And I don't know if that's been done in the MAC before, but it's certainly not been done since I've been here. So I think that's a great accomplishment for the MAC and for the schools.
Anything else?
Bo has a really good shot to set the single-season rushing record this week. Well, not a really good shot, but he can get it. Just talk about how he's fit in and been everything you wanted him to be this year, and did you envision a record-setting kind of season when you knew he was going to be the starter back in August?
You know, knew that he had the potential, knew that we had an offensive line that could get him started, and so the possibility was there. You know, he's great at being physical in his running style, and you know, has delivered a lot of hits, has taken a lot of hits, and he's able to play banged up, and he's got excellent speed, quickness, toughness, as we're mentioning, and so when you have that combination, I think you always got a chance, and then if you get some help around you, then that helps too. You know, obviously, we are a threat in terms of throwing the ball as well, and that's always a help. But I'm very proud of the kind of year he's had and what he's accomplished, and the toughness that he did it with.
Coach, you talked about the strain that it puts on your players playing 3 games in 12 days and whatnot, but I know you guys do a good job making sure you guys stay on top of their work in the classroom, but how much does it place an extra emphasis to stay on top of their coursework when they're playing so many games in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, it's you know, the sport is very demanding in itself, and obviously that can be reflected in a lot of ways. And you know, this past game we had a lot of guys that that collected up, and we played in the evening and did a lot of studying, got a lot of things accomplished academically during the day leading up to the game. So, you know, you realize, everybody understands the importance of an education and trying to stay on top of your schoolwork. So we put that as a priority, and you know, we'll see. There's always some challenges with guys, but I think guys are trying to make an effort to do the right things.
Anything else? All right.
All right, thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Coach.
Yep. Okay.